Yeah, we gotta turn
Hey,
those
hey,
lights on.
good stuff, people. Oh yeah, hold on. We're gonna set up our lights for the studio. Sorry, Glenn.
Doesn't
So
show they're
there we
going
go.
on.
How's that look?
Works.
Good? It's as good as it's gonna get. So usually we wait a couple minutes to let people filter in, but thank you for the patience, everybody. We've turned this place into like a little remote studio, and it's our first time. We have like our official mics. And we have the lights. Look how good Glenn Stovall looks in this lighting.
Oh, yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize how hard that was.
What are you, like 20 years old? You look so young.
Oh, yeah. 24.
Oh, yeah. See? Shave four years off you there. But so, yeah, if you're following the Good Stuff family page, it's organic, real, genuine, authentic stories that uplift, encourage, and inspire. And what happens is, inevitably, every single day, it feels like when we say God weaves, now watch him work, we find these amazing people. Glenn and I have been friends forever with his wife, Andel Silbaugh. But now, here we meet these people, and you're sitting here in the middle of this bar at 1922 Coffee and Brew, and this is where, even as we talk, some people are filtering in. It's like the Cheers, isn't it, of Painesville, right? It is. And so this is why we're introducing you to Tim and Michelle Hickey. What they have, their organization is called PatchOps. So why don't you, I'm going to put this here so we can hear Michelle between your mic and my mic. But just give us a window into how it got started. First of all, when I reached out to him the other day, Glenn told me about him and Michelle a long time ago. I just happened to find this little notepad, little note sheet in my purse.
There we go.
The edges are all frayed from being stuck in the zipper, and it had been in there in the to call. And I just thought, I'm just going to call him right now. I had like 10 minutes. Guess what? We talked for like an hour, didn't we?
Yeah, almost 2 hours.
Yeah.
Almost
So
2 hours
my-
because it was like
My record-setting phone call.
Imagine that. I talked a lot. But so yeah, give us a window into exactly what PatchOps is. I think this is a good place for this. Do you? I can't really monitor
I can
it.
zip it.
Yeah, let's zip it and put it right on your mic. Yeah, okay,
There we
perfect.
go.
See, it's
So
live.
PatchOps and PatchOps.com, we make morale patches and vinyl decal stickers. Our main customer base is the veteran community, first responders, Second Amendment, and through that we've been able to build a pretty good network and have involvement throughout the veteran community. So it's been a pretty positive experience for us. Our company is 3 years old and we've grown into something pretty large. So it's been pretty cool.
The backstory. First of all, I just heard how you guys met today. That is a hilarious story. But you come from a place, like we celebrate the best good stuff, Glenn knows this to be true as well, often comes from brokenness, if we're being honest. And your story starts from a place of brokenness. Give us a window into your past and how you got to this day.
Well, I'm a United States Marine. I'm a heavy machine gunner. So after the Marine Corps, I became a police officer, and I did that for 4 years. Then fast forward, in 2018, I was nearly killed in a motorcycle accident. Kind of brought me a lot closer to my faith. I don't know where to go with that, but that's kind of where it is. I was telling Dawn the other day that as I was round the corner, the accident happened, just a half mile down the road here. But as I was round the corner pulling onto this road, something warned me. I got some sort of message, like I knew something was about to happen, but I didn't know what. I started slowing down and revving my engine. I saw the car that was starting to pull out. He saw me too late. He pulled out into my lane about 10 feet in front of my motorcycle, and I went down pretty hard. Had I not had some sort of warning that day, I wouldn't be here. So it was kind of a very eye-opening experience for me to have felt that type of very near-death experience and then wonder why I'm still here. After that accident, as I was laid up for the next 3 months, it seemed like every single day there was a fatal motorcycle accident with a very similar situation in our area. So it was a very, like in the Marines you say, a come to Jesus moment. It was a come to Jesus moment for me, but it just made me realize that one, I wasn't listening to the warnings that were being given to me by our universe or our creator, and two, made me realize I have a lot more that I want to give this world. And so I started volunteering with the Sub-Zero mission. The Sub-Zero mission is located in Painesville Township, Ohio. This was back in 2018. We deliver warming items to the homeless. We go out under the bridges, in the woods, in the alleys, try to find anybody in the middle of winter that we can find that's sleeping outside. I'm the veteran coordinator for the mission. I'm actually now on the board of directors, so I've definitely trying every day to live up to the second opportunity that I got after my motorcycle accident to try to influence this world and do a little bit more good for it.
And that is classic, the good stuff. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, when you're asking about, you know, coming from a place of like brokenness and feeling alone, and you know, I feel like every single person has that moment.
So on the show, yeah.
And like for Tim, he has, you know, expressed when he was in the Marine Corps, feeling like he went out there, he served our country, but did he make a difference overall in the big picture? And that's kind of what he struggled with. Like, did I really make a difference? So then he went into the police, or to the being a police officer, and he had a main focus of trying to help battered women, and seeing the same situations in the same households, you know, not making a difference in that regard.
It would literally get to the
Continue
point where
to-
you would go on a call and you would arrest the male who beat up his wife or girlfriend the night before, and by the time you're back to the station and you're writing a report, she had already bailed him out. And it was very defeating when you start to feel like you're not making a difference, and that's really why you're doing something. That's very, very hard to handle. That led to a very dark time for me. Like, I struggled with PTSD and suicide at the time. But it was all of those elements where I felt like I wasn't affecting change. I felt like I was just feeding back into a system that wasn't designed to make the world a better place like it was supposed to be. Overall, you know, I couldn't imagine doing that job now. Law enforcement officers and anybody out there, thank you. Thank you for your service, because what you guys are doing is so, so important, and you really are making a difference. I just at the time thought I could save the whole world. What I needed to realize that I'm saving one person's world at a time. I wish older, mature Tim could go back into that same situation and still be young enough to you know, chase bad guys and fight with them, but that time has long passed for me. But the time for me to make a difference in this world is just beginning.
And there are so many avenues in which you're doing that. But before we leave this part of this, I love that you said, Michelle, the love of your life, you've got 3 kids together, right? Two beautiful kids.
And our dog, which is 3.
And the dog is a rescue dog. He's
He's a
another
rescue
great
dog,
story.
yeah.
This is why we talked for 2 hours. I seriously, y'all, I had tears streaming down my face with these people's story, because it's just one thing after another. I'm like, really, God? We so often have these really God moments, like, really, God? Really, God? A lot of the good stuff stories, really, God? But then you have becomes, really, God? We got to share this. We got to share this. And what I loved, before I even met you earlier today, was in this dark, questioning, there's so much evil out there, and Michelle, you said then there has to be good. Tell me that insight you had.
Of course. Well, it's just, you know, we've all experienced the weight of the world and like the heaviness of the constant like negativity.
Like in the news.
Yeah, the news,
Yeah.
just pretty much everywhere. So, but when you like come to a place in your heart, you know that you're not personally that. You're not giving to the negativity. You're not, even though you're in the world, that doesn't mean you're a product of, you know, what we're living in. So it just, to make Tim understand, like, that may be around us, but it's not who you are. And he's, for one, knows that if you can't find the good, you have to be the good.
I was just waiting to say. I was waiting till you stopped talking. We say, be the good, see the good, be the good. And there you go. You just said it. Right.
That's
Sorry.
And
exactly right.
Yes.
Michelle
We're on
is
the same-
absolutely my angel. I call her that all the time. And to bring that all into context, you know, as a police officer and as a Marine on deployment, you literally see the bottom 10% of the population when they're at their worst. Nobody's calling the police to, you know, celebrate or anything. So it's already a population that's at their worst when they're reaching out for help. You see a lot of evil. Like I've seen a lot of destruction, death, and all these things. So I struggled with that for a very, very long time because I used to say, how could God do this? How could God let this baby drown in this pool? How could all of these things be happening? What Michelle made me realize, though, is I've seen the evil. So you have to understand that the other side is out there. And once that light went off for me, holy cow, I've been in high gear trying to change the world ever since, because I know that the good grows stronger every time we do an act of good. Just all of us sitting at this table now, the good has gotten stronger. Evil and negativity might have the spotlight overall because it's louder and it's supposed to be that way. But we get stronger. Yeah, it's just noise.
It's just the noise.
Yeah.
And we can push that aside and try to see the good and be the good, which is what you all are doing.
Yeah.
And again, I don't even know if you're just joining us. This is Tim and Michelle Hickey. I don't even know them if it's not for this phenomenal dude. I'm going to hand you this. Glenn Silbaugh. Let's just take that just in case. I know that you may pick up on his, but it's a little louder. So you met them here in 1922. So I said, let's just go. Coffee and Brew. 1922, Coffee and Brew. That's where we are in Paynesville. It's beautiful, right off the side of the road. Great little, it feels like Cheers. Amazing food, and obviously, honestly, we're not sponsored. They're not sponsoring this. We just know that there are so many good stuff people that come here, and a lot of businesses locally have business owners come here, and y'all are networking. So this is where Glenn Silbaugh, who has his own awesome Road King Mafia on social media, you met them. And when you met them, give me your take. Like, you knew you had to be friends. I feel like when I do stories and you meet great people, you want to keep them close, right? That your life's going to be better for having them close. And now you and Andal and Michelle and Tim are great friends.
Right.
What was it that you felt when you first met these two?
To be honest, I was sitting at the bar and Tim had Marine stuff on, I believe. I think I bought him a drink saying thank you for your service. And then we got to talking.
Hold that, just put it on your shirt.
Because and I think he mentioned that he knew Andal on Facebook or somewhere, both of us, we had a lot of mutual friends on Facebook, and that's how we got to talking. And then as I started Road King Mafia, it might have been right about that time or close to it, I think. Tim was real encouraging, like, man, you gotta make decals every time I ran into him.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Want to show that lunch you make for your starter?
yeah.
So that's what we're talking
Hair
about.
by Tia.
Shout out, that's their daughter, Andal, and Glenn having a make daughter, Tia.
Yeah, and then so just ever since then we just became closer and closer friends. And like I said, one thing I really liked about this place, not again 1922, not just trying to throw in props, but there's a lot of small business owners here, and everybody's supportive of each other. Nobody's jealous of one another. Everybody's really, helping charities. Brian and Lori do a great job with charities themselves.
Yeah.
And everybody's just trying to make everybody else better, not just themselves. So.
And that's what
it's a
I
great
think,
place.
just our friendship has been all about. We launched our company about the same time as Glenn was launching Road King Mafia. We were a little bit earlier than he was, but our friendship has been building each other up. It's positivity. He's a black belt in smack talk. But it's the humor and the positivity and the reinforcements, and we just try to help each other. He shares my stuff. I've given him any tips that we've come across, and likewise. And it's not about any sort of competition, because I think when we compete, somebody's failing. But when we're lifting everybody up and putting a hand down to everybody, we lift up our entire community, and that's what this place has done. With Ryan and Lori, again, we're at 1922 Coffee and Brew in Paynesville Township. Brian and Lori opened this place about that year, right?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
We didn't have a place. Glenn lived 200 yards as the crow flies from me on the next street over. And I hadn't met him. I went to the same school as Andal, so I knew her sisters and stuff. But it's brought together a lot of different people. And when he talks about Brian and Lori and their support for the charities, that throughout this pandemic, as a restaurant, bar, business owner, the stress and uncertainties that they were faced with, it's really astounding to see people like that stand up and try to still say, hey, what can we do to help you guys, not the other way around. And I think when you have that, good people are drawn together, and the entire every time you come in here, it's a clean, safe, welcoming environment, but we've all become close friends, and it's just good people trying to make it and make the world a little bit better and our community better, because that's when you can start to affect things outside of your community, is when you have that strength internal and it grows, and that's the good stuff. It's an organic way of growing the good instead of letting negativity and the evils take over the message from all of us. So.
And now I'm going to be here a lot. Like add one, because you feel sitting at the table with people like this, you feel the good that comes out of this place. You feel that it's faith in action, and it's from being in the broken places. And I know if you follow the Good Stuff page, we say, together we can, together we will, and God weaves, now watch him work. I say it ad nauseum, but that's exactly what's happening here. He's weaving. And one of the most current things that you guys are doing, Michelle and Tim Hickey, again from PatchOps, is reaching out to this family, Marky's family.
Oh, actually, that's in that bag.
Oh, it is? Okay,
yeah,
should
yeah.
we open it? They
Yeah,
gave me a little gift and I hadn't seen it.
thanks for
But
bringing that up.
this is when Glenn called me, he's like, you gotta meet these people. You want to talk about good stuff? They're the good stuff. There's this, he's not a kid, he's 20. I mean,
He's
for
20,
us.
he's about to be 21.
And,
yeah.
okay, and he has this very rare disease, the butterfly disease, they call it, which his skin is as thin as a butterfly wing. And that's another thing. If you woke up this morning and you didn't think about the skin on your body, you didn't think how it was going to serve you, or if it was going to be painful, that's a good day, right? Get on with it already, right? If you put 2 feet on the floor, like a lot of veterans don't, I mean, seriously, then get on with it already, right?
So this is a morale patch that we made. This is Marky Jaquez. And this is him. And we drew him into a superhero. And the reason that we did that, when our friend Kat introduced us to the story of Marky and his skin condition, is it's called EB. I don't know the technical term, embonitris bullosus, but it's called butterfly disease. His skin is as fragile as a butterfly, so he's covered in bandages. We talked to him and his mom, and the positivity and the faith and the humbleness of them and the gratitude, we had to do something in that. So if you guys check out Instagram, it's Melissa 2010, Melissa _ 2010 on Instagram, or follow our page, which is at Patch Operations on Instagram, because we share this story a lot. But we've been doing a fundraiser. I think we just this morning donated $600 more to his family. Insurance doesn't cover this condition, but just the faith and positivity. And Marky says himself, these treatments and stuff that he has to go through is excruciatingly painful. But when you ask him, hey, how do you get through? And he says, Jesus gets me through. And it's like that type of stuff really affected us, and we just had to do something. And it's, we try to use our platform for things like that. We donate every dollar of every sale. It's not just based on our over costs. Like, we donate every penny, and it helps them. They're completely thankful. But please check out their story. And if nothing else, it spreads awareness of these conditions, and that, I don't know, no matter what I was going to complain about today, when I look at Marky and see his positivity, and you can see his faith anytime he talks, to know that, it's like, what am I complaining for?
Right.
So it's that type of thing.
And you're a mama, so you probably especially relate when this mom is trying to help her son to be able to have a role in that. And they are superheroes. They really are.
Yes.
You can see that this
I
far,
can't
too.
imagine the strife that his mother has gone through, but she's so supportive of him, and every single day she's just there to help, with whatever he needs.
His main wish was just that his mom could stay home and take care of him, and through the fundraising and donations from GoFundMe and the other companies that work to donate, she's able to. It's hard to watch. It's heartbreaking, but in that moment of brokenness, and you see all that pain, to get the uplift that they also bring to the table, it's amazing. It's amazing. And Like we were watching his videos, and we were both like tearing up. Mine was like from
Waterworks.
cologne. That
Yes,
got
tough
up into
guy. Yeah.
but yeah, my eyes started to leak a little bit, and but it's a very inspiring person story, and more people need to hear it, and that's kind of why we tried to do a little part, bring a little bit of joy through our patches, draw him as the superhero he is. A lot of us can learn from Marky, a lot of us, and we should.
Yeah, and it takes one person. You know, you had this idea in your life when you came from a place of brokenness, and it's multiplying. And if you're just joining us again, it's PatchOps. If you look for them on Instagram, PatchOps.
Patch Operations on Instagram.
Patch Operations and Road King Mafia, which started as a Road King,
Yes.
but there's so much. You know what I found? I found that a lot of these biker groups are super charitable, and that a lot of them are veterans.
Absolutely.
And so it's not an accident that you are trying to tap into the good stuff, and your social media platforms have grown exponentially as well. And again, it's the weaving. And I know we already touched on this. What's the time check, by the way? My phone is recording. We want to make sure we get you out of here. Okay, so I want to make sure we go back to what you're the director now through Sub-Zero Mission, the veterans.
Yeah.
You found that a majority of these people who, tell us how that started. It was two veterans sitting in a parking lot. I want to talk about the power.
The VFW.
Okay.
The Sub-Zero Mission, and that's www.subzeromission.org. You can check it out online.
It used to be only out here, Painesville, now
Yeah.
in several
So
states.
it started, I think we're on, this last year was the 12th year. So 12 years ago, Del, Bethel, and Al Radetz are two high school friends that became Marines. After the Marine Corps, they were sitting in the VFW during a winter storm out in Leroy, Ohio, about 3 miles from here. Somebody came in and told them about a homeless veteran that was sleeping under the bridge here in Main Street, which is about a mile that way. Those two Marines got up right then, and they went and got their cold weather gear from the military, and they took it to him under the bridge so that he didn't freeze to death. Word spread about that, people heard about it and started dropping off more and more donations so that they could do that some more, and the Sub-Zero Mission was born. You know, that was 12 years ago. This last year, pre-COVID, during COVID, we were only able to service our local footprint, but pre-COVID, we went as far away as Chicago, Detroit, Lansing, Buffalo, Columbus, Lorain, Dayton. We delivered over Pittsburgh. 15,000 warming items were delivered. And you know, that's winter hats, boots, coats, gloves, and sleeping bags. And we've saved some lives that way, but what was happening when they would find the homeless veterans is they would have to, Della and Al would have to go back to work the next day, and it would kind of eat at them, and they would think about that and how to get those veterans off the street. When I walked into his office, it was like, you know, we've also become best friends. Like, I didn't know him before that. But just to know that, you know, you're around a whole group of people who want to make the world a little bit better. And although we serve any unsheltered person we can find, we have that special focus on veterans because at the end of the day, you know, they raise their right hand to lay down their life for you and me. So we can definitely appreciate that and relate to them a little bit better as veterans ourselves, and try to make a difference. And I take up the battle for them to try to weave through the VA and connect them with the different services that'll actually help get them off the street. So it's very fulfilling. We say all the time that it's almost like a therapy for us. I told them on day one that this is probably going to help me equally or much more than I'm able to help somebody on the street, because it's being the good. And when when I first talked to Dawn too, like, this is something that my grandmother said to me when I was a kid. And she said, you know, that there's a lot of evil in this world and it can really get you down, but when you can't find the good, you have to be the good. And you know, that's what we try to do, and trying to be the good. And when you do that and you connect with other people, like Glenn, like the Sub-Zero Mission, like Brian and Lori, it's like, man, we're really getting stronger. And now we just need to get louder.
Yes,
so that's
amen.
That's kind of where we're at.
Yeah, and that's why we're doing these, right, Michelle? Like, hey, can you guys meet Friday afternoon?
Right,
Sure,
right.
yeah. What are we doing? We're just talking it out, right? We're just saying we can get louder from here. And hopefully, if you're watching, you could be that one person to have the aha. What is it that makes us have the aha moment that Tim had when he realized he had a second chance at life after a motorcycle accident. Again, if you're just joining us, to make a difference and to make it count instead of feeling like we can't in the noise of the headlines. There's so many ways you can today. For starts, you can go on to Patch Operations on Instagram. You can go on to Road King Mafia, the Good Stuff family already you're probably following. There's so many ways in which we weave other people's stories that you can get involved, right? And to be louder, you could be part of that being louder and sharing all of this if you would. That's a way. It's never lost on me the way that when we say God weaves, He's weaving. You even use the word weaving. And you've been speaking to some local groups. I saw this 10-minute speech you did. I love it, again, for veterans, which always have a soft spot in all of our hearts, because and even people who serve, police and firefighters, good, honorable ones, getting up without the promise of coming home every day, right? Like, it's not lost on me that we need to uplift all of these people who are working so hard to be the good themselves, right? So when you gave this speech, for a 10-minute speech, can you give us another window into, I love the analogy you told at the beginning about all the people who stopped by when the veteran was in the hole, remember?
Yeah.
Can you kind of just sum that up? Because it's not just for veterans, it might even be for anyone. Let's say that you're a recovering alcoholic, or you're beating rare disease, or you're a cancer survivor, whatever it is. When you find someone else in this hole that he's going to tell you about, you have such an opportunity for having been there, done that, to be the good for that person.
And a brief summary of that entire story, and I'm sure some people might have seen a similar story online. It's this one is called Somebody with PTSD in a Hole, and all the different services and stuff that have walked by and tried to help, that are doing it as a job. And like from a psychiatrist to a psychologist to nurses and other, I guess, therapy type of solutions, that they all work. They push a lot of medication on people, and then they walk away and they go home, and they are back caught up in their own families, and they're not really thinking about that person that's down in that hole, because that's their 9 to 5. The analogy that I always give is I jumped down in that hole with the homeless veteran, somebody with PTSD, somebody who is suicidal, because I've been all those things. I feel like I can relate better. I don't know the way to lift somebody out of a hole directly, but I know that when I'm down there and together, we can come up with a path and do it. The loneliness and isolation of mental health issues, we need to put all that behind us. So many more people out there, they don't speak up about it, but they've been through it. And when we are able to all reach each other on that level, we can really lift others up. And that's when we can start to change the trends in veteran suicide, to change the trends in homelessness, and keep people and catch them before they get to that giving up and breaking point, and try to reinforce them as your brother, as your sister, like as somebody who isn't looking for anything in return other than your success, and for you to reestablish yourself in society and be a strong voice. I think our community is stronger when the veterans are stronger. I think that when we're able to address the mental health things that everybody goes through, then we become stronger as a community, and we start fixing problems instead of having it some sort of negative. Turn it into a positive. Like, teamwork makes the dream work. Like, together we can make a difference. But we need everybody here to do that. We lose a lot of difference makers every single year. What happens when we lose too many and nobody's out there trying to make a difference anymore? What happens when people walk away from law enforcement? So, we have so many negatives that are constantly pushed on us every single day throughout the media, through social media, through channels that, that shouldn't be what our focus is. Our focus should be on the positive things. You can see, like, I saw a positive story put out by the news media this morning, and I was like, wow, just that small story in a mix of 20 others that had some negatives right in my day. It's like, it's something so small. And I always say an act of good and act of kindness will offset an act of evil or bad somewhere, and you don't even know the gravity of what you're offsetting when you do it, but it could be something as simple as, you look nice today, compliment your hair, I like your shirt, those things. And it's just trying to spread the positivity. When you can do that, you can see the person on the street's eyes light up, their demeanor changes because they haven't had somebody try to talk to them as a friend, as on a personal level, somebody who's not only doing it for money at all, but for doing it to actually help them. And it's life changing. It's moving. I wish I could share the amount of gratitude that we get when we do something like that, because I'm just a messenger. As I was telling Dawn, like I have Isaiah 6.8 on my arm. Tattooed on my arm because like I really believe in not being an activist but an actionist.
Yes.
And I used to say
I loved that. Not an activist, but an actionist.
Like we can't.
Like I was taking notes. I have 12 pages of notes from our conversation. I've started by that, but yeah.
We can't sit on the sidelines. Like we actually have to get up and go out and try to fix a problem that we see. But when we're waiting for somebody else to do it and we're just screaming and stomping our feet saying, "Hey, somebody else do it," what are you doing? And that's that Isaiah 6.8. Who will go for us? Here I am, send me, I'll go. And I used to always think that, you know, when I was looking for God to do something, I should have been looking for me to do something. We're all the messenger. We're all an extension, and we can all make a difference. And those are the things that we try to continue to do. You know, there's so many things. Michelle is also, she's the Ohio leader for Veterans for Child Rescue, so we're very active in the child sex trafficking. We try to use our platforms, and this is, you know, one of the things that stood out to me about Glenn when I first met him and he was launching his Road King Mafia. Is very much on the same page on using our platforms and our reach to spread our messages as well, and to spread those, you know, missing kids and all homelessness and all the things that we support. We do it through our platforms because God's given us that platform.
Right.
Now we got to get louder and use it. So.
And I keep thinking of social media. I was like, for the love, like all the selfies and all. Ugh. But here's the deal: when you can get a foundation of good followers to do good, that's what you guys are doing. Mm-hmm. And I want to make sure that before we finish talking about you, when you were doing that 10-minute lecture or speech, I said someone needs to count how many times during that he says together. Like I noticed it 100 times probably together. And we say, I'm going to say it again. Together we can, together we will. And that, for those of you who don't know, that was my dad, Larry Kendrick. 6 years ago he passed. He would write that on every card that he sent, and I still have his handwriting on the refrigerator. Together we can, together we will. So the Good Stuff family is sort of an extension of that nuclear Kendrick family from St. Louis, in which we continue to do good, right? Yeah. So that it's real. And he said together 100 times. That's why we're sitting here, because we know it to be true. It's not just BS words or a slogan. It's faith and action that these people are doing. And when you say you work with the veteran homeless, I sent him I have some stories I'm so proud of from broadcast, from my 20 years as a reporter here in Cleveland. And one of them, you know, I was supposed to be the lead reporter most Monday through Friday. There were maybe two of us, you know, and so whatever that lead story was. Well, it was wintertime in Cleveland, and it was this big blizzard coming in. So I'll put the story here, but we had to go out and find a story that hadn't been done. Basically, I wanted to find people who were really impacted. So I sent him the link after we talked the other day, because it was the lead story. No other station had it like that. I say it humbly but proud, because the people, and we found this mission that was working out of the east side out here, where they every Wednesday bring these home cooked meals, 40 meals, like good meals, to these people, and they get to know them. And one of them was named Bobo, who we loved. He lived behind a gas station.
The marathon at 185th.
And he texted me back.
As soon as
he helped get Bobo off the street.
Yeah,
what?
Yeah,
Come on.
Bobo,
that's a small world, or is it when you're doing good?
It definitely, as soon as I saw that, like the goosebumps went up, and I was like, oh my God, that's Bobo. Yeah. Bobo had a very lengthy time on the streets. He's been homeless off and on for 40 years. But it really was a government failure while he was still on the streets. We actually, on the Sub-Zero mission, we took our bus, we loaded up a table and a dry erase board, and we took the VA and the Veteran Service Commission officers with us on the bus, and we went and we stopped and talked to him. Now, Bobo had contact with the VA for a number of years. a bunch of different services, a number of years they've been trying. I asked him and I said, hey, you qualify for a voucher through the VA. And he said, yeah, I'm just waiting on my inspection. And this is December in Northeast Ohio. This is actually January in Northeast Ohio, so it's cold. He's sleeping in the woods. And I said, when did you get approved? And he said, back in September. Now, this is almost 120 days later, and he's still on the street. So using the machine gunner approach, like we start to network, and I just put out a blast and I asked if I had any friends from Metropolitan Housing Authority, inspectors in Cleveland. One hit me back. He was a landlord who had extensive contacts with them, and he asked me what was going on. I said, there is literally a almost 70-year-old homeless veteran sleeping in the woods in the snow because the inspection hasn't taken place. My friend got on the phone. That inspector called me. He was inspected the next day. He was off the street almost a week later. So it's those little things. But yeah, Bobo is still in an apartment. So I do follow up with everybody. But it's
Thanks, Eugene.
yeah. Thanks, Eugene Schatzman, for that connection, brother.
And I love that Michelle is your right-hand man.
Yeah.
And she's not only the love of his life, his wife, and mother of his kids, but they are a team in affecting good. And I want to talk more, if we have some time, about this, what your passion is, which is impossible to ignore right now, is the sex trafficking.
Yeah.
I was gonna say the sex trafficking. It's real and it's pervasive.
It's definitely getting worse, with the families that are coming up from other countries, but it's been a long-term issue in the U.S., well, throughout the whole world, really. So I linked up with Vets for Child Rescue. It's such a great organization. They've given me all of the resources to understand really where this is coming from. When I started researching some of the cases just here in the U.S., I was dumbfounded. Like, how did I not know how extensive it was? But when you start looking into it, there's just as many outlets that discredit it as there are to credit it. So trying to really get down to the bottom of it, it's very difficult. But it's a problem, 100%.
And a $38 billion a year industry in the United States alone. That's more than Sheets, more than Uber, more than Lyft, more than Verizon. So it's such a significant problem that everybody knows is probably going on, but they choose to look away. One of the main things that Michelle does and that we all try to do is say, you can choose to look away. We can't. Once we've read and researched some of these issues, we can't look away. You may choose to look away, but you will never, ever be able to, again, say that you didn't know it was happening, because we'll continue to get louder on that stuff, too.
I think the biggest thing is, though, in your local community, because it's a huge, widespread problem. We can't affect, we can only affect our local, spreading the word, and then those people that are also part of Vets for Child Rescue in their local community. So these little blasts of spreading awareness eventually will create a broader understanding to watching the signs that are out there. Making sure your kids understand what the evils are, just being online or being part of a network where they don't know everybody they're talking to. Just talking to your kids and having those tough conversations, but making sure they're aware that it is it's a real issue.
And I feel like we need to put all of these links, your organization, what you're championing for, we'll link them up. And again, Glenn Silva over here, this dude who is the great connector in all of this. And Andau, if you're from the east side, then it's 7 degrees of separation. She's like the Kevin Bacon, Andau, Silva. It's true. Honestly, I meet a ton of good people. I honestly don't know of anyone that comes to mind more of someone who is genuinely, consistently, from the inside out, like an angel on earth. It's his wife, Andau Silva.
and I don't know Andal. I don't know Glenn without knowing Andal. And for me, she has shown up in so many ways. I'm gonna cry just thinking about it. Without just pure goodness, just like you guys are, like pure goodness. And that's what we're saying. Be that person. If you're watching this, you can. No matter what you've been up against, no matter what bad you've come from or brokenness, the best good stuff comes from those places. So that's what we're here to tell you today. Again, we're live from 1922 Coffee and Brew. You should come. Yes, you too. How about that? Aha! So rapid. But it's a great place in Paynesville. It's just, what's this highway? Vrooman?
This is Madison Avenue
Madison
and
Avenue.
Park Road off of the Vrooman exit off of I-90. We do have to personally go get our little ones,
Yeah,
but
what time is it?
it's just about that time.
Okay, well, yeah.
One last thing I wanted to say though
Okay.
is when you are struggling, lift somebody else up, because when you do it, you will lift yourself up at the same time. And that is something that I have learned the hard way over and over the years. But anytime I'm starting to struggle, I go out and I try to be the good, and then when it lifts me up too. So we can lift up each other, and you're lifting up yourself at the same time.
Yes!
So,
Boom! Drop the mic. Here, drop the new mic.
I will not drop the new mic. I will set it gently on the
I
table.
love it. So thank you for joining us. Share.
Dawn needs to get her dad's quilt tattooed.
I thought about, so they're talking about getting it, because you can get tattoos here too,
This
right?
is also a tattoo shop.
I always thought about getting together we can on the inside of my ankle, and then on the other ankle together we will. I thought about it. So maybe next week.
Coming live
I love you guys.
under the needle.
Wait,
That would be
real
quick.
quick, we're big on animal rescue too, and both of these have pup poochies. Benny is 15 years old today, yes, and yours.
My Django turned 4 years old yesterday.
And Django was an awful, horrible abuse case. Like the way Tim told me, he said they were selling him he's been abused, he's been in a cage, been eating his own poop. He's like, this is not a good sell of a dog. I was laughing.
So when I go
But then
Sign the paperwork.
yeah, and Michelle and Tim are like, we gotta have this baby. And now, I saw pictures today of
he's
him, the
our
little
baby.
boxer.
Yeah.
So I got both. You're gonna have to share between the boys some little, they're like the cookies that you think you can eat because they look like humans, but they're not. So yeah.
Yes, Django will be very happy.
And that's a celebration of who rescued who. I love you guys.
Awesome.
And
Thank you.
I have to go turn this off over here, but thank you for
Thank
joining
you.
us too. We'll be back
Thanks,
hopefully
guys.
next Friday. We're gonna try and do this as a
Awesome.
regular deal.
Cool.
Love you, Mom.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom. Thanks. I tell her that all the time. So I tell your mom, thanks for making her on his birthday.
Okay, hang on. Where's the end? Okay, so it's so obvious now. It's the red button.
Oh,
Is that your
yeah,
timer?
yeah, that's
I love
my,
it.
ooh, my
Okay.